So this is day two of me filming my journey, and well, I told myself I was gonna do the cold calls today. I told myself I was gonna do 10 of them, and I did 15 of them. So I guess I could say I'm proud of myself to a certain extent. Did I do good on the cold calls? Not really. I did 15 of them, and about four people answered. Uh, One of them, the first one that answered, I actually ended up choking. I was doing so well on the script. I had gotten through the first part of the script, just asking if it was the business owner, and me giving my initial pitch, and then my heart was beating super fast. So I stopped breathing and I choked and I ended up hanging up. So that was the first one. And then the second one that picked up, it was a gatekeeper, really nice guy. I asked him like if it was the business owner, and he told me no, and I asked him for the business owner's details, and he told me that he couldn't give them to me since they're not allowed to do that. But he told me that he'd leave a message, so I guess we'll see what happens with that. And then for the third one, it was some old guy. It was the business owner. I told him, like, the first line of the script, asking, "Hi, is this the owner of said company?" And then he said, "Yeah." And then I was like, "This is Moses from Nova Ad. I'm gonna be honest, this is the cold call. Could I have 30 seconds of your time?" And he said, "Well," he said, "What?" Like, he was like asking. And then I repeated myself, and they said, "Oh, no, 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 never mind. I'm good." And then he hung up. So, no luck, but at the same time, I've been wanting to do these cold calls to basically stop being a little pussy. I guess I could say. I putting myself in an uncomfortable position, which is what I did. So that's good. It's, I'm starting, and that's I'm gonna say that's good improvement from me. I actually did the cold call like I told myself I was gonna do, and well, that's improvement. I guess I could say I'm proud of myself to a certain extent. But yeah, I feel like today was decently productive. Again, I feel like going back to yesterday, I said that I feel like I bite off more than I can chew. I feel like that's yes and no because it's not that I'm biting off too much, it's that what I bite, I feel like it's not enough and it's not getting me towards the point where I want to go. Because I guess reflecting on what it is that I do, I basically just watched the videos. I set up yesterday the other domain that I'm gonna need for the cold email outreach, but I decided that I'm not gonna do the cold email outreach just yet. I decided that I want to get a client first, and then I'm gonna get a client using only cold calls, and then I can stick to either cold emails or cold DMs. Either or on those. But I feel like I am going to, I don't know. I still have time to decide. I could experiment with both of them. The only thing is that both require me putting money into it, and that's the thing that I like about cold calling. But the thing about cold calling is that I can't scale it. Well, I can scale it, but it requires more time, more effort, and it requires me building out a team of cold callers, and I have to train them. And it's a much harder process than it is that I have to scale either cold DMs or cold email outreach. Because for those, I can essentially just make out a plan of how to do it and have virtual assistants essentially execute that for me. And I feel like that's a lot easier than having to train up a team of cold callers to do the calling for me. But right now, since I'm just starting, I feel like cold calling is the way to go, especially because it's free. Only thing that is bad about it is that it's scary. At least when you're starting off, at least for me. I feel like most agency owners struggle with that. I feel like they're scared of cold calling. I was watching a video on cold calling this morning about I don't know his name. He's an agency owner. He's made multiple videos on SMMA. He's pretty big, and he was making videos about how to overcome the fear of cold calling. And essentially, the best way to overcome it is by just doing it. And there are tactics that you can do, but I feel like those tactics are gonna be, it's like in everything. You can take so many classes and so many courses on something, and you won't ever actually learn unless you act upon it. Or like taking action is the best teacher, I guess you could say. So that's definitely something that I've been thinking about. Again, with my business, I could watch all these videos on how to do something and not act upon it or take no action, and I'm not gonna get anywhere. I do like the saying that Luke Belmar says that knowledge is leverage. I'm pretty sure he didn't come up with that, but he's the one I heard say it. So I use that and I stick with it now because it's essentially true. The more knowledge you have, the more leverage you'll have over your opponents. And while I feel like I'm watching the videos and I'm getting knowledge on the topics that I want to be knowledgeable of, but at the same time, I feel like being obsessive over trying to be perfect in a sense over a certain topic is at the same time slowing me down from my growth because as I obsess over this certain topic that I want to perfect, it's not making me act upon it. Like it's not making me, I guess, how do I say this? At the same time that I want to be perfect at the certain topic, I obsess over it and I watch a bunch of videos and I end up not doing the cold call or making the cold emailing sequence or getting so stuck up on the technical aspect of it that I don't actually end up doing what I have to do in order to get the appointments, which is essentially the biggest part of business. Because you can have all the technical aspects of it and not have a single appointment. And like, what's the point of having all that if you're not making any money and you're not being profitable from this business? So that's something that I've certainly been reminiscing about. But at the same time, who's it up to? It's up to me. I'm the one that has to pull the trigger. I'm the one that has to actually act upon what I think about. And I feel like because yesterday's recording, I said that I started this journey about a year ago, and it's true because I essentially started just watching videos. I have a journal here. I remember the first day of my journey, I was in school suspension after I cussed out a teacher. Long story. I'll tell it another time. But it was basically this. And this was my first step into starting a business. And I was basically just learning about money, the money rules, understanding the basics of money. And I feel like with that, well, I understand that money is not real. It's a form of trading, a form of, sorry, I had a little brain fart. But essentially, money's not real. It's fiat currency. Nothing, there's nothing that backs it up. So that's something that I'll go into a separate video of, like explaining the concept of money. But essentially, I want to explain the journey that I went through to get to the point where I am today. So I basically was learning about just everything in the financial aspect of business, investing. You have investments, stocks, bonds, real estate, and forex. A bunch of newbie notes about somebody that doesn't know what he's talking about, just writing stuff down on the internet. I remember I used to look up like the concept of money, the basics of money, and videos on it. And I would just write down stuff that I would learn on the videos. Here I have some notes on real estate. because that's something that I started with. Because initially my plan was to become a architect. Wasn't I essentially fell out of love for architecture. That's why I chose home improvement because I'm really into house stuff. I find it cool, all the interior designs. I find all that stuff to be mesmerizing. But I chose to not become an architect because I saw that they don't make too much money. They make like 80,000 a year. With what I'm doing right now, I can make that in a month or in a week. But that's like the big leagues. Talking to like the multi-millionaires, people that make 2 million a month. But that's another topic for another day. It was basically I started watching Iman during that time. I remember here the 7 day dopamine detox, which I have yet to do. I feel like I should probably do that someday. And the monk mode, which is the basics of monk mode. How to make your first 100,000. Basics of stuff. And this is all just, I guess, the skeleton of what got me to where I am today. And then I got into Educate, which is probably the first actual big step that I made into becoming the person that I wanted to become, which I'm still working on. 'Cause I can't really say that I'm the person that I want to become until I've thought about that. Because I feel like once I do achieve my dream of having financial freedom, time freedom, and location freedom, then what? Like, everything I've worked for is for those three freedoms and for my family to have freedom. But what comes after that? I guess that's something that we'll find out as I progress in this space. But, anyways, I'm getting sidetracked here. Tomorrow, I want to do more cold calls. I want to do another 15. Uh, I want to do some during school. I was gonna do some during school today, but for some reason I just procrastinated on them, and I ended up not doing them, which is something that I also need to work on. But I did do them today, right now, which is I'm proud of myself. I'm happy, but I feel like most of them didn't answer because they were closed because of the time I'm calling. I called them like at 6 because the first hour I was eating and I was using the restroom. From 5 to 6. Never mind, I'm getting sidetracked again. Um, but yeah, that's something that I'll be focusing on. I feel like I should revolve my day around the outreach aspect of things, cold calling. I start my day off. I feel like I should start my day off by watching educational videos. I don't want to do cold calls in the mornings because the time that I could technically do a cold call would be from 9 to 10, but business are barely opening at that time, and this is a theory of mine. I feel like if I call them in the morning, they're more likely to tell me to fuck off because their day's getting started. If the company's even open, I feel like it's too early for most companies. I feel like most companies open from 10 or 11 to 5 or 6. So that's certainly something that I've been avoiding doing cold calls in the mornings, which is I prefer doing them in the afternoon. They're closed by then. So I feel like it'd have to be during school, during one of my core classes, which I'd have to ask, ask to come out and actually do the call there. But I feel like that's something that I'm gonna base my day around, the outreach aspect of things. Having a balance of educating myself and not obsessing over perfecting the certain thing and actually acting upon it. So that's something I'll definitely take in. I'm running out of time since I want to keep these videos not too long, 15 minutes at the max. So I'll definitely be making one of these again tomorrow. Again, no editing on this, just raw recording of me stuttering and yapping to a camera of my journaling experience. I don't even have a script for this. I just Say whatever comes to mind. Well, yeah.